Number 67. Take the stairs instead of the elevator or escalator. It's just one of the many small steps you can take to help you become a healthier, well, you. Get started at www.smallstep.gov and take a small step to get healthy.
A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Mommy, sing me to sleep.
Sure, sweetie. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. You're a ball of gas that's very far. 32 light years in the sky, 10 parsecs, which is really high. Helium, carbon, and
hydrogen
fuse to make our starry friend. When it enters supernova stage, it explodes with bursts of rays. And if the star's mass is big and bold, it will become a big black hole. And if the star's mass is big and bold, it will become a big black hole.
Thanks, Mom.
By the 6th grade, many girls lose interest in math and science, so it's up to parents to help create a brighter future for them. For some simple ideas, go to girlsgotech.org.
A public service announcement brought to you by Girl Scouts of USA and Ad Council.
All right, everybody, welcome back. We are discussing, have we become too dependent on antidepressants? Antidepressants, SSRIs, and other psychotropics. The main job, so to speak, for these types of medications is to block how serotonin is absorbed into the brain. Serotonin is a neurotransmitter, and by blocking the way it's absorbed into the brain, other areas get more of serotonin, and in turn, it elevates the mood. We are also going to be talking about different ways to elevate mood without swallowing a pill. Mark Paul, can we go to Pat, please?
Hello.
Hi, Pat. This is Paul Wedding. Welcome to the program. How are you?
Hello, Pat. Welcome.
Hi. I've been diagnosed as depressed, and I've been taking a medicine, sertraline. That's a generic form of something. And I'm wondering, I'm going to come off of it. Do you know anything about sertraline?
Yes, Pat. Sertraline is an SSRI, and it is a, generally, how long have you been on the medication?
A year.
Okay. So if you're feeling good, when we treat depression, the fact that your doctor chose that, and I'm making guesses, so please don't hold me to those, but the fact that your doctor chose that tells me that the depression was likely not severe, because that's not a particularly strong medication. It's a good medication, but it's not like one of the super strong ones. So we want to stay on the medication for a period of at least 6 months of having no depression. And if you have that 6-month period, generally doctors will ask you, okay, do you want to continue the medication, or would you like to try to get off? And about 1 out of 4 people will take that medicine once in their life and never need it again. 1 out of 4 will need it always for their depression, and the other 2 out of 4 will need it or not need it at various parts of their life.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pat.
Pat, thanks for calling. It was a pleasure having you.
Okay.
Thanks, Pat. Tommy, there was something I wanted to ask you as well, kind of on the subject of what Pat was talking about. When an individual is prescribed, say, Zoloft, Paxil, Prozac, when the individual goes on that medication, are these medications made for that individual to be on for the rest of their life?
Generally not, Paul. As I said, 1 out of 4 people will always need them. I had one man that his wife divorced him, and he didn't want the divorce. And I put him on Prozac, and he did so fantastic. He told me that his secretary worked about 20 hours of the 40 hours he paid her every week. He said he sold magazine space, advertising. He said, I've got her going full-time, and I've got another one for 20 hours. He goes, could I have had this my whole life and never knew it? And to me, the obvious answer is yes, he was depressed and just never knew it. Low level depression. But they're designed generally for short term until the depression is arrested. And then we try to get you off. And if you continue to do well off of the medication, as I tell my patients, why stay on it? If you don't need Advil, why take Advil? If you don't need the depression medicine, why take it? But if we try to take it away and the depression comes back, then we'll stay on it for another 6 to 12 months and then try to stop it again.
Doctor, going back to the alcohol and drugs thing, I just want to reiterate something and ask a question I think is very important for the listeners. Is alcohol and drug abuse a predisposition? And if it is it different between races and creeds? In other words, are you born with this, or is it something that your body adjusts to over time? Are there experiences in life that you have that trigger something, that change your chemical?
It's a great question, Ray, and the answer to that is it's both. Science has conclusively shown that addiction is partially genetic and partially environmental.
I see.
Some families, as we all know, have a gene for alcoholism. One of my friends, when she was in high school, she weighed 100 pounds, and she had her first taste of alcohol, which was liquor, and she drank a fifth of liquor.
Whoa. Oh, my God.
And didn't die or pass out.
Pete.
Obviously, her genetics were very different than mine. When I tried to do that when I was in that age, didn't go so well.
Yeah, didn't need that much, did you?
Yeah, there's other people that could drink socially forever, and if alcohol vanished off the face of the earth, they wouldn't. Like people like my wife, if it all disappeared, it'd probably take her a month or two before she even noticed.
Well, tell us about the twin study.
So there's twinning studies where we take twins that are born to alcoholic families and separate them at birth. And we don't do that purposefully, but they're adopted to two different families. Okay. And we know that the tendency for alcoholism, even though the twin goes to a family that doesn't drink, is still much higher than the general population. There are studies showing that certain populations, like the American Indian population, has a stronger ability to become alcoholic than the general population. And other populations, such as Orientals, are less likely.
Okay. I want to take our conversation into a direction based on faith, but first off, I have an email question, and this email comes from Carrie from Oklahoma City, and she says, Doctor, do children have a more difficult time with antidepressants?
We have to be very careful, Paul, with children, because one of the things that happens with depression, I hope you don't mind me backing up before I answer the question.
Go ahead.
When you're depressed, the vast majority of people that I treat aren't sad for depression. They're more numb. They don't feel anything. I'll get a grandmother that should say, I live for my grandkids. Now, if they come, they don't come, I don't care. I had a teenager that said, Dr. Graves, the highlight of my summer every year was going to Cedar Point. Everybody knows I love Cedar Point. Now, if I go, fine. Yeah. If I don't go, fine.
More even cute, like zombie-ish.
They're zombies.
It takes their emotions, their personality away.
Yes.
It almost sounds like an antisocial type behavior.
Well,
almost.
It's more of just a numbness.
Okay.
And everybody's different. It's not. There are no two cases that are the same.
Is that because they're over maybe taking too big of a dose, or?
No, I'm talking about people that come into my office.
I see.
That are depressed. A lot of people don't know they're depressed. They come in and they say, there's something wrong. I don't know what it is. That's probably 70% of the people. Like the wife will go, yeah, he's more irritable. They're not smiling as much, but they're not crying or sad. There's something wrong. And so the first thing we have to know is that when we first start treating you with these medications, the first thing that comes back is your feeling. And I tell patients, it's like when you make snowballs with bare hands, now your hands get numb. They don't hurt, they're numb.
Right.
You put them under the hot water, what happens first? They hurt. Then they feel better. Yeah. Another analogy, you sleep on your leg is numb. You get up, the blood goes into your leg, which is good, right? But then the leg feels really bad. And then it feels better.
But I've also seen
the same thing happens with the medication. The first thing that comes back is your feeling. So you've been numb. And with children, with adults, we kind of know that we've been through a few things that, tomorrow the sun will come up, even if it's bad today. With children, they can't look into the future. So if they're depressed and we treat them and their feeling comes back, very often children would be more apt to commit suicide, which is a tragedy in the treatment. So the first thing the doctor has to do is see, is there any thought at all of suicide or hurting yourself? And we have to be it's an awkward question. I don't always feel
it's an important one, though.
But it's the most important question. And if you're suicidal, in my opinion, then the medication should be started in an observed environment, maybe even in the hospital for those first couple of weeks to make sure that doesn't happen.
You know, so one of the things that you and I we have a lot of things in common, Tom, but one of the big things that you and I have in common is our walk with God, our walk with the Lord.
Yes.
How does that translate into your daily practice of medicine, and how do you correspond that to your patients?
Well, like alcoholism, Paul, I look at depression as a mind, body, and spirit disease. There's physical manifestations. If you have mild depression, you eat a lot, people gain weight. If you're severe depression, you don't eat at all, you lose weight. Our mind is obvious. We can't think straight. People who are depressed, like, what's 2 + 2? They'll have a little lag and they'll go 4. I mean, your brain doesn't work as well. You can't function as well at school or work. But it's also a spiritual thing. There's a lot of spiritual pain. So what I do in my practice, maybe a little bit different than some doctors, is I always try to address all three. I'll give you an example. One of my partners, I saw his patient on a Saturday, and she came in for a sinus infection, but she just seemed a little bit off. And I asked her about it, and looked like she was deliberating, am I going to tell you or not? And I don't know how you do that, but you sort of lean in and let her know I really care. She told me that her husband had died a few months earlier, and I have no hope. I don't know what to do. She said, I barely wake up every day. I have no direction. I feel like my life is over. I don't know what to do. Well, it's obviously very sad, but in this particular case, probably not a medical thing. So in my practice, I have these tapes. I gave you a copy of one today.
Yeah, exactly.
With Christian music that sort of casts vision that there's hope. And I told her that I don't know why God gives us pain, but I do know that when Jesus had pain, he took that pain to bless people that didn't deserve it. He helped me, free me from my sins, and that's such a wonderful thing. And the people that I see that get over the death of a child, the death of a spouse, a kid that's in prison, take their pain and use it to bless somebody else. So what I told her, I said, every time you feel that pain, try to do something good in the name of that pain of your husband leaving that'll bless someone, like the kid across the street whose mom drinks, or the young couple that's fighting.
Yeah.
And 2 months ago, I got a card in the mail from her, and she said, it worked.
That's great.
Yeah.
I have my hope back. So
it's like the law of attraction. Exude positive energy.
Yes.
And good things will happen to you.
Yes.
It's actually true. When you put yourself, your mind, your energies into the problems and the troubles of another human being, you immediately forget what's troubling yourself.
Yes.
You just forget about what's bothering you at that time.
And there's a great example of that, Paul, for me, is when there was a paralytic and there were 4 friends that loved this guy, and they heard Jesus was healing like the blind, and and they wanted Jesus to heal their friend. And it was so crowded, they remember the story, they couldn't get him in the house. So they somehow got this guy up on the roof, chopped a hole in the imagine the audacity, chopped a hole in my roof and lowered the guy in ropes down to Jesus's feet. Now, the people were probably thinking, wait a minute, you just took cuts. You got dirt and straw on me. But Jesus was so moved by their faith that he healed this guy. And it's just a reminder to me that sometimes I can't bring her husband back. It's so sad. But what I can do is drop her at the feet of Jesus and let Jesus heal what I can't heal. And, I'm here to say it works, as her card, 2 months ago showed me, is that I had no idea. I can't bring her husband back. I don't know a guy I can introduce her to. But what I did is I just gave her to Jesus. I dropped her at Jesus' feet, and he healed what I couldn't heal.
Wow.
I wish everybody out there could see Tommy's face when he speaks about the Lord. Passion. And how he speaks with God, and how he speaks in terms of you, and how much this man cares about you, physically, mentally, spiritually. He is truly one of the most caring, kindest, loving individuals that you will ever meet. And I mean that sincerely. We are going to go to a break. When we come back, we are going to talk a little bit about the Comedy for a Cause. We're going to be bringing a couple of people in studio to talk for a few minutes. And on the other side of the break, more with Dr. Thomas Graves. You're listening to The Paul Wedding Show here on 1310 WDTW. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Jimmy Smith, and I'd like to talk to you about a screening. No, not a movie screening, but a screening test for colorectal cancer. It could save your life. Colorectal cancer is highly preventable, yet it is the second leading cancer killer of men and women in the U.S. But it doesn't have to be. Screening finds precancerous polyps so that they can be removed before they turn into cancer. So please, get screened for colorectal cancer. I did.
If you're 50 or older, get screened. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Dad, can I ask you something?
Sure.
There's this girl I kind of like.
Say no more. You just have to impress her.
Okay, but how?
Just, I don't know, pick up a lot of heavy things around her.
Like what?
You know, desks, chairs, people. Grunt if you have to.
Grunt?
Yeah, be like, oh! There you go.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. When you adopt a child from foster care, just being there makes all the difference. To learn more, call 1-888-200-4005. A public service announcement brought to you by Adopt U.S. Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
The odds of this Alaskan-born pitcher being selected to the Major League Baseball All-Star Game 6 times? 1 in 48 million. The odds of this fast-balling philanthropist winning the World Series 3 times? 1 in 3 million. The odds of this man having a child diagnosed with autism? 1 in 110. Hi, I'm Kurt Schilling. Learn the signs of autism at autismspeaks.org. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council. Major League Baseball trademarks used with permission.
My name's Tyler, and in 9 years, I'll be an alcoholic. I'll start drinking in middle school, just at parties. But my parents won't start talking to me about it till high school.
Kids who drink before age 15 are 5 times more likely to have alcohol problems when they're adults.
The thing is, my parents won't even see it coming.
So start talking before they start drinking. To learn more, go to stopalcoholabuse.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, the Ad Council, and this station.
Okay, welcome back to the Paul Wedding Show. This is Ray Parnello, joined by my guest, Dr. Thomas Graves. It's been a pleasure, Tom. And I'm also joined in studio now by Brian Durantz. He is with The Mission, a church that supports a church support group that supports Camp Take Notice. They are actually, after the show, they're loading a bus, and they're all going to New Jersey, and they're going to do their best to help support the homeless folks over in New Jersey, and anybody else who needs help with the hurricane efforts, try to get that area back to some sort of normalcy. And but Brian, you're here to talk a little bit about the Comedy for a Cause event that's coming up to benefit your group, I should say.
That's right. The Comedy for a Cause is going to be happening on December 1st, Saturday, December 1st.
Mm-hmm.
Doors open at 7 p.m. Tickets are $20, and all of that money will go to benefit Camp Take Notice. And I'm actually from Mission, a group that supports Camp Take Notice, and what we do is we support their efforts to assist people who are homeless in the Ann Arbor area.
Great.
One of the things that makes us different is we believe that that helping the homeless starts by helping them feel re-engaged.
Sure.
And a big part of that is making them feel useful.
Mm-hmm.
And so they we have a lot of guys in our camps who have construction skills and who want to take advantage of those skills. They help build all the infrastructure projects at our former camp, and that's why they want to use those skills again as they go out to New Jersey to help the people who lost their homes.
Yeah, and Doctor, you could probably attest to this. Somebody who's down in their luck, homeless, just having trouble financially, that's struggling with depression, things like that, for them to go and actually do something for somebody else, that's got to be such a strong help, I guess, for lack of better words, to have that self-worth, to feel worth something, to feel like you're doing something for somebody.
Well, we see one of the things that's so wonderful about Brian, what your group does, is that you bring hope. You know, I mean, you bring food, you bring clothing, you fix their shelter, but you bring hope. And I talked to Brian before the show, and the thing that made me smile the most is Brian said he likes to engage the people, and they want to help themselves, but sometimes they may not know how, and so they can have a carpenter come in and show them how to do it. And that was really just the hope that you bring that these people in these disaster areas is just wonderful.
Yeah, that's great. And then the Comedy for the Cause. Who I know Paul will be speaking there, and the comedian who's going to do some comedy acts there then.
You know, we have 2 national headliners.
Really?
Yeah, at the Comedy for a Cause. But then they're going to be actually kind of an interesting thing is along the lines of what you were just saying. We've got a guy who is homeless, who's going to be doing a 10-minute segment.
Really?
Just a volunteer thing. Yeah. Wow. So there's going to be plenty of entertainment there, which is kind of exciting. You know.
Yeah. And so where's that located at? That's Saturday, December 1st.
Saturday, December 1st. It's at the Union Hall, I believe, in Farmington Hills. So you show up at 7:00, and it's good evening.
And this is a benefit. And what's the donation for dinner?
Suggested donation $20. And there will
or more.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you feel moved,
yeah,
and all of the money will go to support the efforts of Mission to support the homeless. Some of that money will be used to finance the work that's being done out in New Jersey right now. Mm-hmm. So they're really excited about New Jersey.
So how many folks do you have going to New Jersey then?
We have about 15.
Really?
Yeah, 15 people that are going out right now, and it's about 10 people from the camp take notice, and then five volunteers from various churches in Ann Arbor. Mm-hmm. And what we've done is we set up an effort with a sister church to one of the churches that supports us out there. And they're running a soup kitchen, and they're also running actual relief efforts. So we'll be actually going into people's houses and helping them get things under control. Mm-hmm. Try to get those houses weatherproof because the winter weather is coming on.
Yeah.
And so it's all the projects are all set up. We got a lot of donations locally. We bought tools because a lot of the stores are not working out there. So so this is really kind of exciting. So people that have been wanting to give back. We've always, it's like we were saying just a minute ago, a big part of what we do is trying to engage people and make them feel like citizens again. So we've always participated in MDOT's Adopt a Highway program, cleaning up highway. We've always done work like chopping our own firewood and building our own infrastructure with the actual talent of the guys that are in the camp. Now we're going to get a chance to go out and actually help people who are really in need. So
that's going to make such a difference in everybody. Tell us about the Camp Take Notice. Where is that located? Is that an actual camp? Are they camping out or what?
Okay, up until spring of this year, we were actually located out on the west edge of Ann Arbor. We were on a piece of Michigan Department of Transportation land. We had about 73 people in May. The camp was closed in May, and what happened was the Michigan Department of Housing and the Housing Authority actually managed to house about 35 of them for about a year. And so our organization, Mission, now is in the process of trying to purchase a piece of land so that we can build a permanent home. The people at the camp stay for about 10 months, but we need a permanent home for our operation, and that's one of the ways that we're going to continue to help people. That's our focus. So one of the things that's happening when we get back is that we're going to start focusing on purchasing that land.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. And the neat thing is that we're supported by like 20 church organizations. We don't take any government money. We're not looking for handouts. Sure. All we're asking for is the opportunity to help people help themselves.
Yeah. Well, anybody who's listening, just get involved. Do something. It's the holiday season, and I guess it doesn't even matter. Just let's support these folks. Saturday, December 1st, Comedy for a Cause. For more information, contact paulweddingshow@gmail.com. And Brian, it was a pleasure. Good luck out there. I hope you guys make a huge impact. Help out, and God bless you. And thanks again for everything you guys are doing for all the folks in need.
Well, thanks for letting us come on and talk a little bit about it.
Sure.
Really appreciate it.
No problem. No problem. Paul?
Yeah, you give me my headset back before you take my job.
Yeah, I know. He's a natural.
Hey, God bless you. Hey, it was really good talking. It was a pleasure, and I'm glad that you made time and you were able to come in.
Yeah, good luck.
Thanks
buddy.
again.
Thank
Paul,
you.
it was really remarkable that Brian, you mentioned my face, but Brian's face was so lit up, taking all his money, all his time, all his energy just to go help people help themselves.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense from a man's perspective. You know, we think buy more, get more, and yet I've never seen anybody look so joyful before as Brian did, just doing all this work and and giving so much of his time and resources.
Yeah. It's fabulous.
Pay it
It's
forward.
just it's the way it should be.
That's a strong antidepressant in itself.
That's
Absolutely
exactly
it
where I
is.
was going, Ray. Thanks
You know,
for saying it for me.
Listen, we talk about music, how important that is, how good that makes you feel. But geez, just doing good things. People, if you're in a depressed mood, and I'll make this quick, throw on some music and do something good for somebody, and boom, see what happens.
I seem to remember. I can't think of his name, but he did a lot of work. I think he was called the Son of God.
Yes,
something like that.
And the Son of God told us that it is a bigger blessing to give than receive. But the word blessing translates into the English language best as happy. So you're happier to give than to receive.
Mm-hmm.
And if we're talking about depression, that's one way. Just do things for other people. Don't put yourself first. Do things for other people, and it works.
There was actually a study done that if you are the receiver of an act of kindness, it elevates your serotonin. And not only the receiver, the doer, and anybody that is in the area to experience what they just witnessed also has their levels of serotonin raised, and nobody had to swallow a pill.
That's wonderful. It makes intuitive sense, too, when we see it happening.
It sure does.
Yeah.
It sure does.
It does. Tommy, what else do you got going on?
In life or today?
Yeah, when I sent you the email about doing the show, and you said, just let me know when and what time, I'm thinking, oh my God, this is incredible, because I know how hectic and taxing, your life is.
Yep. Well, our heart group is going to be going to Haiti and doing a lot of the things that Brian is doing, and it's just good to. One of the things that I liked about meeting Brian is I know when I'm down, Paul, it feels like all your friends have abandoned you and maybe your family isn't calling and you just feel like I'm all alone in this, and somebody reaches out. It doesn't even matter what they do, but they just did something nice and you get your hope back. And it's just such a great thing that, to be able to do that.
They're bringing up the music. I cannot believe an hour has gone by.
Oh, how time flies. It's been a pleasure.
Brian, thank you. Mark Paul, my engineer, you did a wonderful job for us over there. Thank you very, very much. I want to thank Dr. Thomas Graves, good friend, good guest, good man. I love you to death.
Yeah, thank you, Tom. It's a pleasure meeting you, and I'm sure we're all richer for having listened to you and learned from you today.
And thank you, Ray. We'll be doing this again. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be back next Saturday at 11 o'clock. If you'd like to find some information out, www.paulwedding.com.
Call the show next week.
You have been listening to The Paul Wedding Show. Make sure to tune in every Saturday at 11 a.m. right here on 1310 WDTW.
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you. And I think to myself,
The comments, ideas, and opinions expressed in the preceding program are those of the show participants only. Nothing stated in this program reflects the ideas, opinions, or beliefs of this radio station and or Clear Channel Radio.